Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio 2 days in a row. What's happening?
Did you get Warnock shipped out, by the way?
Yeah,
Good.
we did that live yesterday.
I know, I just wanted to make sure that the recording got plugged in behind it, you know?
We're good. We're all
Yeah,
good.
that was
Uh,
that was the response from my friend Raphael Warnock, the reverend saying,
Good. I think I like, we've had some really thoughtful comments about it. He's a really great speaker. He gets the message across.
"He's a nice guy too." He
Yeah.
really is. He's truly a nice guy. Yeah.
You wanna talk about what we're talking about today?
Would it have anything to do with cryptocurrency?
It does. It does have something to do with cryptocurrency, which is something that so many people are, I think, in the dark about. I think our guest confirmed that I'm not
He
alone.
he's taking us from darkness to light, yeah. But he did say that what was the figure he used? 16% of the people are involved with crypto, most of them are young males.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And by
but
he, we're talking about our guest, who is Ben McKenzie, who not only an actor, but also, a New York Times bestselling author, and he has a degree in economics. And so during the pandemic he started to look into crypto and trying to understand it. And what happened is he started to document everything and he wrote a book first and then produced this movie called Everyone is Lying to You for Money. And so we just wrapped up a conversation with him about this and we're going to play it for you here live. We thought we'd come on and do some headlines. Do you want to talk about your crypto viewpoints before we do that?
you'll see it in the conversation we had. I don't think they haven't changed any because I've never been able to make sense out of it, and I still can't make sense out of it. So, uh, but you'll see that in the interview with Ben. So,
Okay. All right. Well, let's do some headlines then. I am going to pull up my thing. So, um, we want to talk about the war with Iran. This morning, Iran is saying that it's reviewing the latest deal from the US to end this war. It's been going on for nearly 3 months now. President Trump says he's willing to wait a few days for their response to the latest offer. Meanwhile, Iran's new supreme leader, Moshtaba Khamenei, has declared that no deal will be made if it includes removing the country's highly enriched uranium stockpile. That's something that the Trump administration has said, no deal. That's their goal, right? To get rid of all of that. This all comes after this headline, though, that went, I think, largely under the radar. At least for me, I did not see this until this morning. And this is that the New York Times is reporting that one of the early goals of the war was to install former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who is known for his hardline anti-Israel, anti-American stances, and also a huge proponent of Iran's nuclear program, and that all apparently went awry when he was injured on the first day of the strikes. Like, what? What?
yeah, you got me. I make no sense of this. From the very beginning, this war hasn't made a lot of sense because the president claimed he had decimated their nuclear program, but yet attacked the country because of their nuclear program. Both statements can't be true, by the way. And then we're gonna uh, insert Mahmoud at Jinabad, if I pronounced that correctly.
Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, yeah.
Somebody, thank you very much. I wished I would have said that, but somebody who is as hardline or more hardline than the previous person and younger. I don't, look, 2 a billion or two a day going out the door still. Um, uh, racking up debt like crazy with no possible return on it. It's not like investing in infrastructure, which they've pulled money out of, and healthcare that they've pulled money out of. I don't know. You tell me. I mean, the folks that love him because he wasn't going to get in another war. He got not one but two. One of them worked out okay so far in Venezuela. This one, not so much. And anybody, if they'd listened to anybody that knew anything about the region, they would have known that this is not going to be a cakewalk. But these folks get full of themselves and they think they can do stuff and put people's lives at risk and put the resources of this country at risk, and they do it and they do it and they do it again. And we will see. You know, there was a thing called the JCPOA that the, God forbid, Obama administration negotiated that actually stopped him from getting a nuclear weapon that could have been added on to, but he ripped that up in the first day of his first term or within the first few months of his first term and said, "Oh, we're going to get a better deal." This is the better deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, pee on my shoes and tell me it's raining.
You mentioned, cuts to everything, health funding,
Yeah.
etcetera. I wanna show you
Yeah.
this headline. So the WHO, the World Health Organization, declared a global health emergency over an Ebola outbreak in Central Africa. Something a lot of people are watching closely. Like, this is not something you wanna get. Now, a dozen former federal employees told NBC News that the gutting of USAID likely slowed Ebola detection and response. And the Washington Post has this headline out today, and it says that, quote, sweeping aid cuts by the US and other Western nations to Congo and the WHO left frontline health agencies dangerously under resourced as this Ebola outbreak erupted and spread with alarming speed.
Yep, and the folks can look at this and say, "Well, it's in Africa. What the hell? You know, that's Africa. It's no big deal. It's an ocean away. It's people aren't white and all that stuff." The truth is, it's coming to a neighborhood near you because this is the small world we live in, and people move around, and it's why you need to be ready for pandemics. The last pandemic, the administration did some good stuff, and they did some bad stuff. I'm talking about the Trump administration. Getting the vaccine out, record time, good stuff. You know, telling people to, you know, drink. What the hell were they drinking? Bleach, I guess,
Right.
was recommended at one time. You know, and swallowing lights that kill it. I mean, you know, it's all crazy. And when you do not deal with science, then take you back to the 1800s, and we didn't have things that took care of viruses, and we didn't have vaccines, and people's life expectancy was a lot shorter. And that's where we're at today. You know, conspiracy theories abound in Robert Kennedy III's head. And unfortunately, he's in the position where he can make those theories and take actions that is counter to the health of this country. And so it's interesting. But the Ebola thing came up at the end of Obama's administration, and they handled it. By the way, now it's come up again, and just because it's in Africa doesn't mean we're going to be immune to this. It will be here.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, someone in our comments is saying the FIFA World Cup arrives here in June. Lots of world travelers headed this way. Yeah, right. That's alarming. Well, lots of world travelers heading here every day. But also, let's say it's confined to Africa. Guess what? Those are people. Those are human beings.
Yeah.
They like, we should be caring about any kind of Ebola outbreak anywhere in the world, and that, like, that's what drives me crazy about this, I don't know, this false exceptionalism that we have, like, "Oh, well, it doesn't affect us," and, I mean, look what happened during COVID. It absolutely affected us in big ways, and I was one of the people who said in the beginning, like, "Wow, I wonder if that would ever come here. That's
Those
crazy."
you didn't know those people were going to die anyway. That's why they had to have cold storage units in places like New York City
Right.
because the world couldn't handle them all. Yeah, they were going to die anyway because, as a senator from Iowa's already pointed out, we're all going to die anyway. It's just that it speeded it up a hell of a lot.
Yeah, we're all gonna die.
These folks.
Oh, okay. The Democratic National Committee this morning just came down releasing this long-awaited autopsy of 2024, the 2024 presidential election. This has been an ongoing conversation. We asked Jim Messina about it, I think, if I remember right. But you know, there were some people in the party who thought, no, no, we have to keep this private. Other people saying, what are you doing? Release it. You have any thoughts?
Well, I think that self-inspection about what transpired in the 2024 election is important for Democrats if they're going to win moving forward, and hopefully, it's an honest assessment of what happened. I have my own ideas, but in the end, I think it's smart. You're transparent. If you're going to do the study, you're gonna put it out. I mean, you're going to do a study, and only certain people are going to see it. That ain't the way things work, and that's not the way things should work. Put it out, be transparent. So I'm glad they're releasing it.
Okay. Yeah, and speaking of what went wrong, in this episode. I didn't really think about this, and I don't think we've ever talked about it before, but crypto, we talk all about crypto in this episode, and I didn't realize how much of an impact that industry and that lobbying industry has on Congress right now, so that was an eye-opening thing, and you said it affected the results of the election, so, you're gonna enjoy
It
this chat. Go ahead.
it's gonna affect the results of not only the last election, but this election and the next election and the election after that, because these dudes got a lot of money. Because this is money for rich people, in my opinion, and, rich people got a lot of money, and they spend it on things that help them keep that money and add to it. See Jeff Bezos.
Okay, last headline for this morning, from the Associated Press. The AP reporting that Senate Republican leaders are probably gonna abandon that push for $1 billion to go to the White House ballroom security plan. The GOP tried to add this money into the ICE funding bill. They got pushback from within their own party. Of course, you remember that the president said no taxpayer money is going to go into this. It's all going to be private donations. It's a gift to the
Yeah.
people, just like how Mexico is going to pay for the wall.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Well, look, I've been critical of Congress. If they do this, they'll have done the right thing. They get my applause. Now, I will watch and see what bill they try to reinsert it back into. Because
Ah,
this ballroom bullshit is bullshit. It's not the US. While people are struggling to pay their bills, we're building a golden ballroom. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's ridiculous, and taxpayers shouldn't be paying for it. And it's once again, you start down one road and you end up in another. It's just bad business policy that now is in our government, and it's ridiculous. So I'm glad Congress is going to take it out. I give the Republicans
they're
credit
expected
for
to.
doing that.
They're expected
If
to. Let's
if
see.
they do it, but I also am going to be interesting where they put it back because
Mm.
um, the Donald wants this in, and he knows he's not gonna pay for it with private money. He's gonna pay for it with taxpayer dollars, just like he wanted to pay for that slush fund, or wants to pay for that $1.776 billion slush fund for people who tried to overthrow the government by taxpayer dollars, by the way, just like he puts on tariffs and then puts out bridge payments with taxpayer dollars to farmers and where the Main Street businesses have got impacted. Where's everybody who's a consumer get impacted? By the way, we haven't heard much about since the tariffs been thrown out how that money is going to be rebated back. Haven't heard much about that. So this whole
I
thing
think
is
the
about
businesses are having a hard time, from what I gather, collecting those payments back, that they're supposed to be able to get relief from the tariffs.
yeah. Well, they're having a hard time releasing the Epstein files too. If they want to do it, they'll be able to do it. Okay.
Uh, oh, I totally lost my train of thought here.
Really out, huh? It's good.
Man, it's what is it, Thursday? It's Thursday. I'm losing it. Uh, yeah, I think you make some good points. And I I just don't understand, like, my when I hear, like, Harry Dunn, a former Capitol Police officer, part of this lawsuit over that fund, the $1.776 billion fund.
Brilliant with a B.
Billion with a B. And I remember the huge legal battles over the Biden, student loan forgiveness program. And how it was challenged immediately, and that never like, that final push never happened because it was challenged in court as unconstitutional. So, I'll be curious to see if this follows down the same.
It'll be interesting because those were in the days when we had rule of law and actually had
Uh-huh.
people that followed court orders. So you're right. It will be interesting to see what happens.
Okay. Well, I that's all I have for headlines. Any final thoughts before we dive
No,
into the world of crypto?
it's a short interview. It's about 20-25 minutes long, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Alright, here we go, guys. Have a great Thursday. All right, we want to welcome to Grounded Ben McKenzie, who, according to his bio, Senator, is the only six-time Teen Choice Award nominee to have written a New York Times bestselling book on economics, as well as directed and produced this feature film on the subject. Everyone is lying to you for money. Welcome, Ben.
Yes,
So
welcome. Hi.
I got to tell you, you've probably heard this before, Ben, but I didn't know that an actor could be an electrical. I mean, intellectual. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's good.
We can be anything,
That's
John.
right.
We contain multitudes, some of
That's good.
us. Yeah.
Also, Senator, did you know that Ben portrayed former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and Donald Trump Jr. in a dramatic reading of the Robert Mueller report? Like, whoa, I need to go back and find that.
Yeah,
Much
my uncle Robert Shankin decided he's a playwright and a screenwriter. He decided to take the Mueller report and condense it to sort of like, the most, greatest hits, if you will, because this was after, Bill Barr did his quote unquote summary of the findings rather than actually talking about what Mueller found. And so we did a live reading. It was fantastic, incredible cast. I mean, John Lithgow and
Oh,
it was amazing. But yes, he asked me because he's my uncle. He's like, "What? We got a couple parts left. Who do you want to play?" And I was like, "I really want to play Donnie. I want to play Donnie Jr."
oh my
So
gosh. I
that
need
was
to
awesome.
go. I have to go find this. I have to go find
Yeah,
this.
I don't know. I wonder if I can't remember if we recorded the audio or video. I hope we did, but
Oh, okay.
looking back on it, it's unfortunate that it didn't quite have the effect that we wanted it to have because he got reelected. But here we are.
Well, I I am going to play right into the cliche just for our audience. There's a whole section in this movie, Everyone Is Lying to You for Money, about the OC, which is like, your big breakout role, of course. And so I'm gonna play into that and just remind people that you are from the OC, but you are from so many other things. And this movie, Ben, it was so entertaining, so smart, funny, thought-provoking, and I have to say it's really validating because I finally feel like I can say without embarrassment, I don't get crypto. And I think that's the point. So now I know I'm not alone. So bring
Mm,
us into this. Like the very first, you mentioned that you had a friend who kind of said to you, "What's crypto? Here I'm getting into Bitcoin." You said, "What is that?" So,
right.
like, do you understand it in a clear way now?
Oh, I think I do. I certainly hope so. It's been
Yeah,
4 or 5 years.
yeah.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, Maritza, you are the majority. The majority of people, um, when I ask them what they think about it, this is the 80+% of the country that's never bought crypto. 80+% has never messed around with this nonsense. I ask them what they think, and they basically say some version of, it seems kind of complicated. Maybe I'm not smart enough, but it's also scammy. And I basically made the movie to say, no, 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 you're smart enough. It's scammy. Trust your instincts. If you want to do the deep dive, you can read my book. If you want to read about the history of private money and what securities laws are and all that dorky stuff, I loved it. But if you just want to get the gist of it, go see this movie. It's 90 minutes. It's a comedy. This stuff is real stupid. But something that's really stupid can also be really dangerous, right? Like
Mhm.
we've sort of learned that through Donald Trump. God bless him. You can be real dumb and real dangerous at the same time, and I think that's sort of what crypto embodies. So you're the majority. Don't feel bashful.
so so the question I have is that okay, so a buddy came up to you and asked you about it. That's what triggered you to do the investigation and really take off on this? Because that's pretty amazing if it is. I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a confluence of things. It was the pandemic, and so my normal job as an actor was on ice. There's no way to practice our profession if you have to be 6 feet apart at all times. And I do have an undergraduate economics degree from university, and I hadn't used it much. But my buddy came to me and said I should buy Bitcoin. A lot of people had this experience, especially at that time, because the celebrities were selling it. It was all over the news. But my buddy had given me terrible financial advice before. He'd encouraged me to invest in this stock that this company that had supposedly produced synthetic blood, and it wasn't Theranos, it was some sort of precursor scam. And he put money in, I put money, and we both lost it. He wasn't scamming me, but my buddy Dave, basically, I love him to death. We're still good friends, but I'm not going to listen to him when it comes to financial advice. In fact, I'm probably going to go the other way, right? Whatever Dave's into, I'm going to probably
You're gonna
uh,
Costanza it. You're gonna do the opposite of what
exactly.
you would do.
And
well,
once I started looking into it, I just couldn't stop. I just became obsessed with it. I loved it from every possible angle. I love well, if it's not really, you can't really buy stuff with crypto, right? Like try this. Go to your go to your local store and ask them if you can pay for your, your groceries in Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. They're going to look at you like you're stupid. It's not really, it doesn't really work as a money. So what does it work as? Some sort of form of investment, but then it's sort of unregulated. I just became obsessed with it. Plus, I love true crime. I've always loved true crime. And my favorite sort of subgenre of true crime is something I call stupid crime, where the criminals are kind of like obviously committing crimes, sort of in broad daylight, and then turning on each other, sort of Cohen Brothers esque crime. And crypto had a lot of that. So once I started looking at it, I just couldn't stop.
So I just want to say, as a policymaker, I have a hard time accepting stuff that I don't understand. Okay. And I will tell you that I had one in particular, but I had multiple folks in my office lobbying me on crypto. And the question I asked them hey, I just don't understand this. I don't understand what there is there. We had just come through the synthetic financial instruments of 2007, 2008, where they were selling stuff where there was no there, and people lost a lot of money. And they proceeded to talk to me about blockchain. Uh, I have a two-part question for you. Number one, what's the connection to blockchain? And number two, when they walked out of my office, I said, this is money for rich people. This isn't money for regular people. Rich people want to do this shit. And what's going to happen is if this thing folds up, they're going to ask the American taxpayer to bail them out.
Yeah,
And at that hearing, there was a dude that was at the panel with you that said, if you guys don't put this into mainstream financial instruments, then we're putting our financial industry at a big disadvantage. I don't know if you remember that or not, but
I do.
but the truth is that all that does is it makes it so the taxpayer ends up paying for people's bad financial decisions. You made a bad financial decision buying stocks for artificial blood. You didn't expect the American taxpayer to bail you out. You
Right.
ate it. And that's the same thing here. But the problem is it's big enough where it could really screw up the economy.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, that quote from Kevin O'Leary is in the movie.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary, who had previously called Bitcoin a scam, then became a spokesperson for FTX, which was the crypto exchange run by Sam Bankman-Fried that imploded, and Sam is now doing 25 years in jail. And all of a sudden, Kevin loved crypto. And then he ended up, testifying to the Senate. And he said, I remember this, Senator. He said, if we keep crypto away from our banking system, we're going to be at a severe disadvantage. I'm paraphrasing. And I said, asked the same question. I said, if we get crypto into our banking system, there's going to be hell to pay. And 3 months later, just 3 months later, three banks failed in the United States,
Wow.
all three tied to crypto: Silicon Valley, Silvergate, and First Republic. And that is exactly what you're talking about. If we get this nonsense, if we mix the fake money with the real money, then what they're doing is privatizing the gains and socializing the losses. They're going to make a ton of money, these insiders, because crypto is really an insider game. The insiders win, everyone else loses. They're going to make a ton of money. And then when it goes kablooey and it contributes to potentially the next subprime crisis, they know we're going to end up bailing them out. It's a really sick and twisted game. To get back to the first part of your question in terms of the technology, they get very far on this thing called blockchain because nobody really knows what it is. A blockchain is just an append only ledger. It's a way of recording information, recording transactions. It's really old. Blockchain's been around since 1991. And so for something that's 35 years old, one obvious question is, if it's such a revolutionary technology, why does no other business outside of the cryptocurrency industry use it? It's really hard. If you can name a single company that is outside of crypto that uses blockchain, I'll be very impressed. In 2021, we were told, oh, it's going to change everything. Blockchain is going to be the future of all this stuff. Now you'll notice they don't even use the word blockchain. Whenever possible, they use the term digital assets because they're trying to avoid, I assume, that people have a bad taste in their mouths of a blockchain. So what a blockchain is, it's an append only ledger, but it's synonymous. It obscures the identity of the people that are transacting. So you can't actually tell who's sending what crypto where. It's
Oh.
much more difficult to trace, which is important for criminals, quite frankly. Criminals love blockchain. It's also append only, meaning you can't reverse a transaction. So once you send your crypto somewhere, it's done. You can't get it back. And why would that appeal to criminals? Well, obviously, if they're scamming you and you've sent it, then they could just take off with it. So blockchain really is not a useful technology. All you can do with crypto is gamble, bet the price is going up or down, which is what I would say investing in crypto is. You're just betting that it's going to go up or down. And then crime. And crime has always been a big part of crypto. It's been a part of crypto since the beginning. It was its first use case was this thing called the Silk Road, which was a dark web drug marketplace. And people needed some way to buy drugs online without, using their bank and
Yep.
sending people cash, and they wanted to obscure their identity, so they used Bitcoin. So it's been a part of this story forever, and the crypto guys really don't like to talk about that part.
What I think is so dangerous about the Kevin O'Leary part, though, is that people look to him for advice because of the whole Shark Tank thing, and he's on news every single day talking about finances and smart money advice, and so that's what's scary about that. In that scene in the documentary, Ben, I had to say I was really surprised because I saw a familiar face. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, who?
Senator John Tester.
Oh, of course. No, sorry. I mean, I was just saying it before we came on air.
I know,
I'm
I
sorry.
know.
I was like,
No,
was there
I
another
I put you on the
bad
spot.
another villain? I went villain for some reason. I was like, is there another
Well,
bad crypto villain in there?
depending
I
No.
on
I
the day, he is a
I just
villain some days.
I just
Oh,
want you to know this because my co-host pointed this out to me that I didn't ask you any questions. And the reason for that is like a stupid senator, I always ask questions of people that I knew were gonna have a differing opinion than I had,
yes.
and that's why I focused on the other ones. But you started out this conversation talking about a friend who gave you financial advice, and, anybody that has lost money in the stock market or any other financial thing knows that you don't take advice from your friends or your relatives, because the same thing happened to me, quite frankly, taking financial advice from a friend, that told me not to buy stocks anymore. But at any rate, the real question here is that so they are very active politically. They have a lot of money and they go after people, and it's happening this election cycle.
Yes.
They're going after people they think they can knock out that have not been against crypto, just ask questions of crypto. Because I never came out and ever said that I was against crypto. I just
Right,
said, I don't understand it.
right.
And it looks to me like it needs to be regulated. And so make me understand it so we can see if this is real.
I think you did call it total bullshit at one point, though.
Well,
I think it's pretty hypocritical.
until I understand it, it's total bullshit. It's what
Yeah.
some people say about this podcast. Okay, it's just so you oh, so there you go. But the truth is that have those guys gone after you? Have the crypto folks
Yeah.
gone after you, trying to diminish your ability to talk about this?
Oh, I mean, there's a segment in the movie where we just take all the different tweets and all the hate online that I get. That's fine. I mean, I don't one of the nice things about being in the public eye as an actor is you're just kind of used to that sort of thing. And so much what's fascinating about it is so much of it is just a product of the internet. It's just social media culture. It's a lot of synonymous accounts. So why are you're criticizing me, but you're afraid to say who you are? When I actually go to screenings, I've been going, all around the country doing
Yeah.
screenings as this movie continues to expand. We started in 4 theaters, now we're in 40. Um, I do Q&As afterwards and I talk to people and I've been expecting the crypto bros to show up to question me. You know what's interesting is they don't show up. Isn't that fascinating? They're really brave online. Online, they'll mock me mercilessly. I'm a shill for the banks. I've left TV acting to get into where the real money is, which is writing books and making documentaries. Shows you their grasp of economics, I will say. But it's really it's all fake. To get back to you, Senator, for 1 second, just give you the credit you deserve. You're being humble about it, but even just saying I don't get it, being honest and saying I don't get it, someone needs to explain to me what this is. That is brave these days because unfortunately a lot of your former colleagues are not doing that. And I am incensed. I am a lifelong Democrat. I am incensed that this stupid bill, they've already passed one bad piece of legislation called the Genius Act, which if it's called the Genius Act and it's from this Congress, it's got to be stupid. And it's a bill that allows corporations to issue their own money in the form of cryptocurrency. So you're talking about literal corporate money. And yeah, of course, the Republicans voted for it. Unfortunately, I don't expect much better under Trump, but 100 Democrats voted for it, including Hakeem Jeffries, including my congressman, Dan Goldman in New York's 10th, which is why I'm supporting his opponent. But they're about to pass another bill. or they may pass this bill called the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act does what crypto's always wanted, which is to put it under control of the CFTC, the Commodities Future Trading Commission, smaller, weaker regulatory agency. That's what Sam Bankman-Fried wanted before he was arrested for
Yeah.
running this massive fraud. And the person that got it out of committee in the Senate Banking Committee on the Democratic side is Senator Ruben Gallego. And Senator Gallego, his campaign got $10 million from a crypto super PAC in 2024. So look, they use it as a carrot. They use it as a stick. They went after you. They went after Sherrod Brown, who's chair of the committee. Uh, this is really dangerous stuff we're playing with. This is the poison fruit from Citizens United. This
Mhm.
is corporations and oligarchs having all the power and regular people not having much of any. And it's really scary. I mean, they spent $240 million in 2024. It's just a staggering amount of money. And they threatened to do that again in
Trust
26 and 28.
trust me, I felt the wrath of that $240 million.
I bet.
But in the end, as an elected official, you have to ask yourself why you're there. Are you there for the special interest? Are you there for the people you represent? And ultimately, in the end, there's way too many because of Citizens United. There's way too many that look at this and say, "Hey, look, if I make this decision, they're going to drop 10 million bucks on my head, and they'll take out a U.S. senator, or 5 million and take out a House member."
Yeah.
And quite honestly, that has its effect, and it's the way that's why we talk about on this podcast regularly the fact that we need campaign finance reform, and it's why when we try to do things like we're doing with an initiative in the state of Montana, all these folks who think that all these incessant ads and influence by corporations and billionaires is a good thing in our elections come out and say, "Oh, this is a stupid idea." Well, give me a fucking break, and I'm not supposed to say fucking anymore on this podcast.
Why
Give me
not?
a fucking break. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
This is how democracy works? You let people who are doing crooked shit buy their representatives? It's nuts.
yeah, and that's what, just to bring it back to crypto, that I think is the crypto story is basically two parts. The first part is, do you think our regulated system sucks? And pretty much everybody raises their hand, right? Everybody thinks the regulated system is deeply flawed. We could disagree on, why we think that is. And then the second part is crypto fixes this. And the second part is the lie, but the first part is true. And the first part, it's not just Citizens United, but it's also, I mean, I don't know if you guys watched this interview with Bezos the other day.
Yeah.
That was just outrageous, outrageous. Talking about how, you could double my tax. It wouldn't help anybody. I'm like, yeah, buddy, because you don't pay any taxes because
Right.
you paid less than 1%, less
Right.
than 1%. What nonsense is this that these guys are making billions of dollars and they're taxed far less than a secretary or
That's right.
somebody who's working a construction job? This is insane.
Okay.
So I think if crypto serves any purpose is to bring us back to fixing the regulated system, which is Citizens United, but also providing, a real economic foundation for the people that actually make this country great, which I would argue are the regular people.
Yep.
So, Ben, the attacks on you for speaking out only cemented this idea for me that this feels very much like a cult.
Yes.
And it's been a few years since you shot all of this. And I feel like it's only gotten more slimy, more grifty. And then we bring in the Trump family. So the question is there going to be a follow up here for you? Have you been continuing to track this or document this in a way to kind of keep going to show people how slimy and grifty this is? Because it really does feel like there's a whole section where you talk to these people who've lost everything, and they're more embarrassed than they are initially worried about the financial implications because it feels like, oh man, I feel stupid.
Yeah.
And that's what I've seen for people who come out of supporting Donald Trump too, who
Yeah.
come out of MAGA, who say, I just feel stupid. And that's why it seems like so many people just hold on so tightly to it.
Yeah, and I do think there's a lot of overlap. Obviously, there are, investors in crypto from all political stripes, but there's a lot of overlap with sort of a hardcore MAGA base. And it's dudes, it's mainly guys. That's who invests in crypto, young guys in particular. And I think they're disillusioned for all the reasons we've talked about. It is hard for these guys on average to get that job. I mean,
Yep.
forget trying to buy a house, like just get the job and make ends meet and hopefully, meet someone that you could start a life with. And, and that's what we gotta fix, that's the thing to fix. The problem that I see is that these guys, I can't change their obsession with crypto. There's nothing I can say or anyone can say that's gonna change that. I have to appeal to the 84% of the country that's never messed around with crypto to protect us from the unintended consequences of their reckless behavior, as I see it. If we end up having to bail all these guys out again, that's going to be a real disaster for us. It's only going to further, cement the distrust of our system. So that's what I made the movie for. In terms of a follow up, yeah, I don't know. I, it's either going to be another crypto doc or a AI doc, perhaps.
Oh,
Kevin O'Leary is now doing an AI data center in Utah, and the
yeah.
community is outraged. So, this is just the world we live in at the moment. But I'm heartened that there are good people out there, and I know I have to go, but I do want to just say again, Senator, I really appreciate you standing up. And sometimes it takes the courage to just say, I'm here for the people that elected me, and I am willing to deal with the chance that I might lose. I think most of these folks in office are so terrified of losing. They don't have another life. They don't have other things that they're doing, that they become beholden to whoever is going to foot the bill for their campaigns. And unfortunately, in this world, it's corporations.
Yeah, it's one of the really bad things that came out of Citizens United that, it can be argued it's the worst decision the Supreme Court ever made, but it is a really bad decision that
Mhm.
is impacting our politics in a way that is really detrimental to our democracy. I appreciate your outspokenness too, by the way. Your ability to elevate this issue and get it on people's radar screens is really important because I lived through the meltdown of 2008. I watched the federal government, the American taxpayer, bail out people who made bad decisions. And quite frankly, just like you bought your stock and I bought my stock and lost my ass, that's my decision, and the American taxpayer shouldn't be bailing us out. But if this crypto thing gets big enough,
Yeah.
and I think it already is, and people find out that there's no there there, and they start losing money, they're going to come to the American taxpayer and say, "Hey, guess what, guys? The president just put in a $1.776 billion slush fund for the people who tried to overthrow our government. We want you to put a slush fund in for us."
Yeah.
And if Trump is still in the White House, he'll do it.
Yeah.
Ben, before you go though, tell us it's in 40 theaters right now. Where can people find this? Is it going to expand to more?
Yeah, 40 theaters over the course of the run.
Oh,
We are the way to get info on the movie is go to everyoneislying.com. Everyoneislying.com. Now, we have not yet made it to Montana, but we are in places like we're going to like Anchorage, and we're going to, Springfield, Ohio, and we're going to a lot of different places. So
well, how do we
So,
coordinate
yeah,
that? We'll host you. We'll help you.
please,
We'll do it
please,
with you. Let's do it.
please, absolutely. I mean, I
I
would love to. I'll get you information. We'll talk about it.
All right,
yeah,
let's do it.
get us that information because I guarantee you there's people in Montana that would
Yeah,
love to put this in a theater here for people to see, and I think people will come out to see it because people don't understand it. And
right.
if there's money to be made, hell, let's look and see it. But if they find out it's not real, then that'll take it away too. So,
No, yeah, I would love to screen it there. The reaction from audiences has really been wonderful, and in the after the fact with the Q&As, which by the way, you and I should do a Q&A together, Senator.
Oh, you
That's what
could.
we should do because it opens up a conversation. Crypto is not it's not just about crypto, it's about AI, it's about the power of the corporations over regular people. It's about the future of the Democratic Party. It's all those things. So, yeah, absolutely. Let's keep talking, and thank you so much for having me on.
Well, really quickly, I know you have to go, but is this the year the Senate goes blue in Texas?
I like our odds. I like our odds more than the statisticians might. But look, it's gonna be tough, and I do worry that, Senator Fetterman might just switch parties all of a sudden, which makes it even harder. So we might technically win, and then but look, I think we got great candidates. I love Sherrod in Ohio, Roy Cooper in North Carolina. In Texas, my home state, James Talarico is a fantastic candidate, and they're putting him up against this total crook in Paxton, who's just absolutely the worst. So look, I think we got a chance. What we have to do, though, is model good behavior. If the Democratic Party stands for anything, it has to stand for people over corporations. We have to distinguish ourselves. When we lose election after election, because a thin sliver of the electorate says they can't distinguish between the parties. They think we're both
Right.
sellouts. We're both liars and corporatists. And they're right to some degree because there are those members, unfortunately, elected members in our party. Well, we can't have that anymore. If we want to change this country for the better, we got to be grown-ups and we got to, I got young kids, try to be the best person you can to show them what that's like. You're going to fail. No one's perfect, but starts with not lying to them.
Oh, Ben McKenzie, thank you so much. Everybody, check it out. Everyone is lying to you for money. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll be in touch.
Okay. I honestly, I wish I had way more time because it was a fabulous movie. I had so many more questions for him. But I think that it really is. Like I said, it validated me because for so long I didn't get this, and I did put a little bit of money into crypto at one point because so many people were
Get
like,
out of here.
I just
Really?
it's a little
Hey,
because
I got some oceanfront property here in north central Montana. Would you like to invest in that? Huh?
well, here's the thing, when it really felt like a mixture of a cult versus like and this, what are those, like, marketing those, like, what are they called? Mid-level marketing programs where your friends sell you on it, and so people you trust are saying like, "Look how much money I made." And that's what happened, like, people said, look how much money I made, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable." It's like, "Well, I wanna get in on that." Yeah, if that's because how many times do you hear people say, "Oh, I got in at the very beginning of this, and I really
Look,
lucked out." And
I
so
I just want to let you get on the ground floor or something. We've got this testo currency out there, that if you just cut me a check, 5, 6, 7 digits, you've got that capacity. We'll get you into testo currency. Now it's different than cryptocurrency. It's a sure winner. Trust me. Trust me on this, okay?
okay, yeah, where do I send the check? No. But I'm serious, that's what it felt like, is everybody was in on
Well,
it. During COVID, we were, like, I think people were looking for something hopeful, and, you see your friends making money on it, you go, "Oh, I didn't put a ton," right? I didn't put a ton,
well,
but it
that's all relative. Somebody like me, a ton is 10 bucks. Somebody like you, 40, 50,000 bucks, it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
a drop in the bucket. But I'm gonna tell you something. He said something that's usually young males that are doing this, and I'm gonna tell you, when I was running, one of the things is, geez, you gotta be for this because, the young people think this is the next coming, and if you don't do that, you're not gonna get the young people's vote and all that stuff. In the end, this is about education, and if it's real, it's real. But if it's not, damn well people ought to know about it, and I'm gonna tell you from the beginning, I thought this was a rich person's currency, and rich people are gonna profit, and the little guy is gonna get taken to the cleaners, and I have never been able to see anything different than that. And there were a lot of my people that I served with in the Senate that I know for a fact were like you, they invested in crypto, and that's why they reacted in the hearing the way they reacted. And some of them today have gotten out of the Senate, and they're working for crypto. And they're
Yeah.
probably making a shit pile of money doing that. But it's still, if it takes away from honest people's financial security, it needs to be looked at. It needs to be looked at with a jaundiced eye.
So, do you think it played into your loss?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. There was money invested to take out Johnny T so that they could get somebody that would rubber stamp their stuff. There's no doubt about it.
I put the website down here, everyoneislying.com. We only have a very short amount of time with Ben, and I wish we had longer. Um, but one of the things I was going to play is this clip, Senator. So let me take this down, and I want to play this because this was recorded, I think, about 2 weeks after that hearing that shows up in this movie where you were questioning people like Kevin O'Leary and where Ben testified before the Senate.
Look, one or the other. I mean, I have not. It's not been able to pass the smell test for me. I have not been able to find anybody who's been able to explain to me what's there other than synthetics, and what means nothing.
Air.
And
Yeah.
I, yeah, exactly. And the problem is that if we regulate it, and I pointed this out to some of the regulators here a week or two ago, if we regulated it, it may give it the ability that people will think it's real. I think it's
Yeah.
truth be known, my personal thought, and I'm not a regulator and I'm not a financial person that does regulation, but I see no reason why this stuff should exist.
There you go.
Well, that's what you get. What you get for telling the truth. By the way, that hasn't changed. That interview was probably well, Chris Chuck Todd was moderate Meet the Press. He's been off that for a long time.
I think
Um,
that was 2022 or
2022. So it's
2020.
been 4 years ago. My thoughts have not changed on that, and part of it has to do with back in the day when we were first married and we had some good years. I had some money, and I had a guy telling me to invest in this stock or that stock, and I lost my ass on every one of them except one. Um, so I'm very, very, very conservative when it comes to when it comes to investing money. Probably to my, not to my best. I probably had a lot of opportunity to make a lot of money that I just overlooked, but I play it pretty close to the vest. And this crypto thing for me, and it's the way it was in 2022, and it's the way it is today. It does not pass the test of reality, quite frankly. And I had people come into my office and say, this is great, and they talk about blockchain, which is hard enough to understand. And then when I walked out, my staffer said, "Well, they said it's no different than the American dollar. It's not backed up by anything because we went off the gold standard." And my point to them was, if you look at that money, it talks about the full faith and credit of the American people. That means they can tax my work and get money to back that dollar up. That's worth a lot. Crypto does not have that ability whatsoever. It's based on a goddamn, I don't know, a code. I don't know. I have no idea what it's based on. At
Well,
any
and then there's part of it that I really get. I mean, I wish I had more time with Ben so I could ask him this, but Bitcoin mining. I don't I don't understand that. It goes
it's,
way over
it's,
my.
it's where you get in a pick and a shovel and you go into a little coal mine and you start picking away and all of a sudden Bitcoin starts falling coming out of the coal seams. It's
Really?
yeah.
What does
Yeah.
it look
Now,
like?
see, here's the other part of this is I could be wrong. This, crypto may be real. I could be absolutely wrong, and people are out there looking at you going, "Geez, you idiot." But the truth is, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If you're wrong, I don't expect to have to pay for your mistake as a taxpayer, and that's where
Oh.
the problem is.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, honestly, it's a wonderful movie. Check it out. Everyoneislying.com. I am not just saying things. I actually want to try to get a screening here. I think that'd be great to have a Q&A with you guys.
I think, there's 2 things that I would love to see. Number 1, I'd love to see a screening here. Number 2, I'd love to see you invest in Testocurrency, 'cause it's okay.
Do you have a website yet?
I don't need one, man. It's going like wildfire. Trust me on this, it's going like wildfire. I just thought of it a few minutes ago, and it's already taken off. Yeah.
Listen, there's no difference in what you just said versus some of the things that come out of the president's mouth and getting people to send him money for stuff.
Damn it, if I only had that platform, which
If
I'm not gonna
you
have.
if you only had that kind of, sway with people.
Right.
Okay, so I think that's all we have for today, but let's talk about your hat. I w I thought it was a pizza hat, but it's not. Oh, Fergus High Golden Eagles. I
Loose
don't
down Montana, you know, the Golden Eagles are flying high, baby. School's about done. A friend of mine is superintendent down there. I hope he's doing good. And I got this long before he was superintendent, by the way. I don't know, probably 10 years ago, I went down to visit with him, and every once in a while, the high school would give me a hat, and they did. I appreciate it.
I
And we hope the Golden Eagles had a great school year and have many more to come.
Here's what's so funny is that you wear Hellgate High gear a lot. Hellgate High, for those who don't know, is a high school in Missoula, Montana,
I do.
and it's based off of it's named after Hellgate Canyon, which there's many legends as to why it's called Hellgate Canyon, and people always say, "Why is a school called Hellgate? That sounds bad." But what happens is you wear a Hellgate sweatshirt or
Yeah,
T-shirt, and
yeah.
then people who go to competing high school say, "Why is he only about Hellgate? Why isn't he about this one or that
Well,
one?"
here's the deal, and this is the honest to God truth, and I don't want a bunch of, uh, clothing, but for some reason, Hellgate has given me hats. They gave me 2 pullovers, and they give me a sweater and all that stuff. And so I wear that stuff. I usually wear it here on the farm because it keeps me warm and stuff. But the best thing about Hellgate, I'll just tell you, is when I was in speech club and we'd go to Missoula for the speech meets, the our speech club advisor, when we'd pull up to Hellgate, would always say, "Now you guys go to Hellgate." And so we'd go in and do the debates and stuff, going to Hellgate. It's got a
Oh,
great name. It's got a great name. You go to Hellgate,
yeah,
if
you
I
go
told
to
you to go to
hell.
Hellgate, you'd probably take it personal if you didn't know it was a high school.
Or go to Helena.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but the problem is, well, going to Helena High. Yeah, that's our Helena Capital. That's good. No, it's good. We appreciate, I will tell you this in all seriousness, I appreciate the job that our public high schools and grade schools and middle schools do in this state. We need to invest more time, more money. We need to pay our teachers a livable wage because they're not getting a livable wage. Because we're always bitching about public education, but we don't support it. We pay public education, as proven during COVID, by the way, less than we pay folks who are doing the babysitting for our kids before they get in high school or grade school. I mean, so if we want a top flight education, you got to pay folks for the job they're doing so they have pride in their work, and most of them do have pride in their work because they're doing it because they believe in and
Right.
educate the next generation of young Americans and leaders. But the truth is that I quit teaching 50 years ago because, quite frankly, I couldn't make enough money to put the gas in my pickup to drive the 26-mile Toronto trip to school and back. So,
Imagine how it would be today.
and it's gotten worse. So,
Yesterday, Senator Tester FaceTimed me, and he was pumping his gas, and he was in Big Sandy, and guess what was there on the gas pump?
it was diesel, and there was a sign of President Trump with his finger pointing at the price, going, "I did that." That's the first one of those I've seen, and it was in my hometown. Can you believe that?
Unbelievable, but I think what I just learned out of that story about Hellgate High, out of all of it, is that if I just send you any kind of sweatshirt, no matter what it says, you'll wear it.
Yeah, like I said, I usually don't wear them in public unless I'm working
But
on something.
but I could send you, like, a sweatshirt with, like, like, my face on the front.
There's certain things I will not do. I'm just telling you.
Good point. Good point. I'm glad you can't be bought, Senator. Okay, well, we wanna say thank you so much to Ben McKenzie for joining us here on Grounded. Thanks to all of you for just listening to us just talk about absolutely nothing and stick with us every single week. We wanna thank Pearl Jam for letting us use their music. You can find us on Substack, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube, and you can shoot us an email at groundedpcast@gmail.com. We'll chat soon.
Tally ho!